We're proud to have linked up with Tracksmith for this episode of Podium. Tracksmith is the New England running brand which produces what we think is some of the highest quality running gear you can get. Its third running shoe has just been released, a trail shoe called the Elliott Range. There's also the Elliott Runner for everyday miles. But I love the Elliott Racer, a lightweight carbon fiber shoe I've been using over the past few months. I've mostly been using them for 5K park runs and sessions and seeing the results too. So see for yourself what the fuss is all about and give them a try. Head to tracksmith.com and get 20% off your first order by using the code PODIUM20, all one word and spelled like podium, Podium, and enter that at checkout. Details are also in the show notes.
Podium is proud to be sponsored by Maurten, which is right at the forefront of innovation when it comes to sport fueling. And it is, of course, that time of year again, road race season. We've got 4 marathon majors between late summer and the end of the year, and some big events elsewhere too. And to help you along the way, Maurten's new improved drink mix should be one of your go-tos. There's 3 versions. 160 contains 60 grams of carbohydrates, and the 320 caffeine and non-caffeinated versions have 80 grams. And if you've tried it before, well, give it another go, because the mix is now less thick, so easier to drink. It dissolves quicker too, and you don't need to worry as much anymore about its hard water tolerance. Podium listeners can get 15% off as well. It's a one-off code. Just head to maurten.com and enter the code PODIUM15 at checkout. It's valid on all items apart from bicarb, and all the details you need are also in our show notes.
Welcome back to Podium. This week with myself, Rich Newman, and Hannah England. The Diamond League is both back and approaching the business end of the schedule before its full focus on Tokyo. A full Silesia review coming up, and we'll also look ahead to Lausanne and Brussels too. But Hannah, we will be flying to Tokyo as we record this 3 weeks today.
I know, it's really starting to feel real. I love the fact we all had a different reaction last week to whether it felt like it had come around quickly or slowly, and you'd said you'd been waiting for it for ages. I've got 2 Diamond Leagues this week that I'm going to in person. I'm going to Lausanne and Brussels, and I've been super excited about a 5 days trip to kind of immerse myself in there. So I've been looking forward, I guess, to the next 3 weeks, because I'll go to Diamond Leagues, go on holiday with my family, and then go to Tokyo. Like, it's all sort of back to back to back. So I think it's going to be a really nice end to the summer for me. But yeah, it's coming closer and closer, isn't it, that trip to Tokyo?
Yeah, it is suddenly like I've got to get some plans in place. I've got to actually start finding some nice restaurants to go to.
Oh, I was thinking packing list. Isn't that how square I am?
You've got to pack for a holiday first.
I've got to pack for Diamond League holiday, and then start thinking, what do I need to order for Tokyo? But
yeah, because next week you'll be on holiday.
Yes.
Katie's going to be in New York covering the US Open for 5 Live, so back to tennis again for Katie.
Yes, and you've totally usurped us, haven't you, in our absence?
Let's keep it under wraps for now.
Okay, super exciting episode next week.
Yeah,
when Katie and I are away.
Yeah, we got some exciting plans for you. How did you enjoy Silesia? Have you been able to sort of chill out over the past week?
Yeah, it was perfect. My daughter slept through the whole Diamond League, which was epic. So we just sat there with the volume turned down low, none of me screaming and waking up young children, and just watched it very calmly and sensibly. And it was really, really nice. I love that. I said last week, but I love that meet. I think it's great.
Yeah, nice. So, yeah, my wife and daughter have been away at Centre Parks over the last few days. So it's been this weird situation in the house where no one's here apart from myself. I've sort of gone back a number of years and had to do whatever I wanted. It's the first weekend of the Premier League season. I went to go and watch my team, Brighton and Hove Albion, and they did not disappoint. It was because it was disappointing. Where the Amex, where dreams are made, and also you leave heartbroken. But it was doing that was just fantastic. And being able to do that completely, no pressure, have to get home for anything, was brilliant. And then
a guilt-free sport weekend for you.
Guilt-free sport weekend. I could also watch back the Diamond. I couldn't watch it live, so I had to watch it back because it was on at the same time as the Brighton Fulham game.
And then do a fat long run on Sunday. Not feeling guilty about that either.
Did it on Saturday morning, actually.
Oh, you show off.
Yeah, so did a 15-mile trail run. I'm not big on trails. Oh, the reason because I broke my leg on a trail run 3 or 4 years ago, so I've kind of had a bit of sort of PTSD.
I was about to tease you there, because when you came and did my local park run and you said it was hilly, I was going to say, like, I'm notoriously, like, I can't run on hills, and then you claimed our park run was hilly. I was like, no, it's not. But now you've got trauma. I can't tease
it's more because it's just up. It was undulating. It was up and down. But that park run, and it was called Cannon Hill. That's why I was a bit freaked out about it. Yeah, no, this was 1,500 feet of elevation on Saturday, and that was a bit too much for me. Yeah. So, but it was good. But it was really good fun, to be fair. Nice. Okay, shall we get into it then? So there's one place to start. It's an obvious place to start in Silesia. It is Keely Hodgkinson's comeback. World lead, 1:54.74 in the 800 meters, not far outside of her lifetime best, having not raced for over a year. It's almost 2 seconds quicker than anyone else this year. And, well, I look, you called it, Hannah. You said she's going to want to make a statement and come back all guns blazing. It's not just a hit out. She said afterwards, didn't she? I was going to come back when I'm ready, not when everyone else thinks I'm ready. And wow, what a flex.
We were talking about it because I hung out with a lot of my training partners or my husband's athletes this weekend, and it absolutely blew our minds. Like that's just so obscenely quick to open your season with, and I think I said yeah, the time doesn't matter, but you've got to win. You were sort of saying, oh, just find your feet, but I was not expecting a 1:54 at all, and to run it so dominantly. But as we spoke about it over the weekend, we were thinking there's merit in basically doing all of your training. Like, she has done all of the training pretty much that she needs for Tokyo. So why not do that whole block? And now all she's doing is racing and ticking over, doing the odd thing, you're stepping on the track in between. Versus if she'd come back a couple of weeks ago, you'd have to do one race, then you'd have to train again, then you'd have to race again. Like I do think they have got it perfect, and we were keeping the faith. We were keeping the faith and thinking it was going to be okay, but I didn't think it would be that okay on the first race.
No. She said she had to go fast because she doesn't have time to ease in. Yeah. So she'd only got this race. She's got Lausanne. Mm-hmm. And we think that's probably going to be it. I think from the mixed zone interview she gave, she said, then it's Tokyo. But I mean, there's obviously a possibility that she could get to the Diamond League final and then she does that. Mm-hmm. Do you see the quotes from Trevor Painter?
No. Did you see the video when they're like lip syncing some? That was great.
Yeah. So Trevor said, there was a social media post which said what the wave light was set at. And there was a comment that was posted from that. I can't find it. I don't know where it's from Instagram or from X, but it's a comment after it said, "That's deluded." Oh. And he was like, well, doesn't look like, it looks like we knew. And he was like, looks like we knew what we were doing, actually. It's really interesting. So I think, it's quite feisty sort of pushback from both Keely, I think, a little bit in some of the post-race interview about people who maybe doubted her, and I don't know if it's more from our point of view. I think we've more spoken about and Trevor said this himself actually in this interview. It was in the Times this morning that I was reading it, but the issue is, what you do in training does not necessarily translate to what you do in a race. Like, that doesn't always happen. You know that. And if you've been away for so long, there were nerves. You think everything's going to line up, but there's no guarantees that it is going to happen that way. So there were nerves from their point of view as well, that we think we got it right, but at the same time it might not. And I think that's what our concern was, that it was maybe not going to be enough time to get race ready. But in the end, like, what she's gone and done is quite amazing. I also found it quite interesting that she said, because it's quite bullish, I think, from Keely Hodgkinson afterwards in some of the quotes. And what a statement, right? I mean, it's just an incredible way to come back and just to show everyone else that I'm still the best. I'm still the one. I'm the Olympic champion. Look what shape I'm in. But I did find it interesting that despite all of that, she did admit that there was a point this year where she didn't know whether she'd be back this season, that it was she was starting to doubt whether that would be a possibility.
And I think hamstring injuries, when we spoke about Achilles injuries last week with Ingebrigtsen, but with hamstring injuries, so you can't do really high intensity stuff, whether that's on a machine cross training or let alone out running. You lose a lot of the intensity, and that's what she's been battling this season. And so, of course, you kind of worry as every month goes by that you haven't run flat out, that you haven't hit full pace. You lose confidence you're ever going to get there. But I love Keely's the way she's grown with the media and her confidence, that she doesn't care. She doesn't care about just speaking her mind and saying, and she prefers to do it after she's got the results to back it up. But she's happy to be very, very frank. And why not? You're Olympic champion. You're one of the fastest women ever, and then you go and do that in your first race. I think there's no point in trying to be kind of where false modesty is lame, isn't it? Like you can see straight through it. You know, she's there saying, "I don't know what's going to happen." So you've just run 1:54. You should be. Yeah. You should be. Absolutely full of confidence. Yeah,
and you say about the hamstrings, because it was sort of a bit more cleared up about what's been going on recently. Again in this interview, so. The initial issue was on the left side, and then that happened again on the same leg, and then it was the most recent one was on the right leg. So just when they thought that everything had cleared up, unfortunately, this is what happens in long-term injuries, right? There's always a risk that something else will pop. That happens in every sport because you're not being able to compete at the top level for such a long time. But look. She looks fantastic, and even to the point where, again, like one race in, world record chalk again.
I know, but there should be, yeah.
I know there should be, and I just think again in this interview, Trevor Painter is not playing this down. No. He says, it's there. We can find improvements. Shoe technology is still getting better and better. He said, so I can see it happening. It's just when is it going to happen? So yeah, we watch this space anyway. So that's
what were you? So we've got that 1:54.74 from Keely.
Yeah.
If you're another female 800 meter runner, put yourself in their shoes. What do you think when you're watching that on Saturday? Don't swear.
Yeah. Well, exactly. What do you think? I mean,
are you running for second? Do you think people see that and think that's a first race? And we've got, like you say, 4.5 weeks to go until that 800. Yeah, surely
who are the biggest? Because who are the biggest threats there? Obviously, in Lausanne, it steps up. Mm-hmm. So the next race is going to feature Prudence Secadiso. We've all been impressed with her this season. Audrey Vero's there, and Georgia Hunter-Bell. Now, what is she thinking? Because we notice it. Well, it looks like she's checked out of the 1500. Did you see the post that she
did? Was it a story? It was just a story, wasn't it?
Just on a story, yeah. Sorry, on Instagram, and it just said last 1500 meters of the season ? But you wonder what she's thinking, because obviously in the 1500, it's all about Faith Kipyegon, right? Mm-hmm. And can anyone really beat her? So you're kind of not running for gold in that one. But we've been talking about the fact that, one of the most consistent, I think you can make a strong argument, can't you, that Georgia Hunter-Bell has been the most consistent women's 800 meter runner this season.
Yep. Yeah.
We agreed on that.
She still is. Like Keely can't be consistent
exactly.
on one. Yeah.
But she is the most consistent. And so you would, before Saturday, you would have said she's in a great place to potentially get gold actually in Tokyo. If you want to go for gold, the 800 looks to be the place for Georgia Hunter-Bell, right? But then Keely comes and does that, and then she knows what sort of shape they're training partners. She knows what sort of shape Keely's been in. What's that do to both Georgia Hunter-Bell's plans, to team dynamics? I'd like you to get into a bit more about team dynamics, Hannah, because in other sports there would be not like team rules, but you could have maybe you can be training in the same group, but it doesn't mean you will have to be mates. Yeah. Quite clearly, everyone gets on in the M11 track club, so it's not they do want the best for each other. But how do you see this playing out over the next few weeks?
So when you've got such a highly competitive a highly high performing, close matched training group, I think there's so many months of the year when that is brilliant. when you can just push each other, and you've got to have a woman alongside you pushing you is better than having a male training partner. Like it means more, it gets more out of you, puts you in that mindset. And then it's
much more honest as well, isn't it? In terms of like who you're training with someone who is as good, if not better than you. But they're always alongside you.
Yeah, no, and I think when you look at it from a coaching point of view, I sort of say, oh, that's brilliant for probably 7 months of the year. The other 5, I've got to manage this so closely, and that's knowing when you can't. George will be better on an endurance session. Sarah Healy's probably better than Sarah Healy's better in a 1500 meter session or a 3000 meter session. So when do you expose Keely to that environment? When do you not? When do you say you're going to stay away from that and do something? They've got a big group. I bet they've made very targeted decisions about when those women actually do reps together, when it's suitable and when it's beneficial for everyone and when it's not. And I wonder, see, everyone, you can think here, right? Georgia Hunter-Bell will go, I haven't got a chance at winning. But like, we don't know what's been happening in training. Maybe Georgia's just gone, well, if Keely's in 154 shape, what sort of shape am I in? Like, it might have given her even more confidence rather than taking it away. We don't know. So
do you think, that's really interesting, do you think that as the weeks get closer, they train less together? Would that be your prediction? I don't know, but that would definitely be my prediction. Is that what you would do? Yeah, that's what I would do. You just choose when it can bring the best out in you. And we were talking about that with like Jeremiah Azu and Nicola Olaslagers or Molly Caudry. Like, when you think about your failure, when does it help? You need to engineer those environments to give you the best environment to train in, and that's not always the hardest one. And we also said that this race wasn't necessarily the most difficult for Keely, but because of the pace that she ran, she won by so much. It doesn't. Yes, she did, but. When someone is running that fast, it will make your competitors run faster. And the second fastest time in the world this year now is Lilian Adira, who finished second in that race. Yeah. So that would have been a world lead as well. That would have taken away from Sigrid Daguma. Went into the weekend with the fastest time this year so far. She's not raced since. So that's what I was wondering. Where is Sigrid Daguma? As Katie would say for our true crime podcast. So 5th of it's early July. Yeah, so that like it's. Where is she? Not in Lausanne, is she? I don't think. Because then you're saying there's a very, very realistic chance that it's Britain 1 and 2. Yeah, and we were talking because of the circles I move in, and we just talk about athletics the whole time, and we were talking about. So, like you say, if you've got Faith Kipyegon as a favourite, Keely as a favourite. Does that increase the likelihood of Georgia doubling because she goes, I can get 2 medals? Well, if you're admitting that, like, if you looking at it and you're thinking a win is, I don't know, 1 in 100, well, it's probably not. It's 1 in 10. Well, but a medal is, I can get 2 medals. I don't think it's going to happen now. I mean, it may be what Georgia Hunter-Bell didn't look super comfortable in the 15, did she? No, but let's come to that in just a moment. But just to finish on these quotes from Trevor Painter, because they are interesting, and obviously he doesn't really mince his words anyway. Doesn't bother, does he? No, not at all. Doesn't have to. His direct quote was, "I think she's checked out of the 1500, and she's in love with the 800 this year." Yeah, fair. So wouldn't we all be? Such a nicer event. and then he said, "I feel she's nailed on bronze in the 15 if she runs it, but I don't think her heart is in it." So. He that's only from the weekend. So, and we saw the story post. Yeah. Question mark, last 1500 meters of the year. I think maybe when we spoke to Georgia, which was probably 2.5 weeks ago or so now, 2.5, 3 weeks ago that we recorded that. I think she was quite excited about the possibility and really exploring it. Of doubling, and now I think she's gone. It sounds like it's just that all the noises are she's gone well off it. Oh well, there's a part of me. I know that your interpretation of that quote on social media. My interpretation could be that's something you write down to fire yourself up. Like, dial in. This could be your last 1500 of the season. Make it count, rather than like, I don't know. Rather than it being sort of
run away. I don't know. I think it could just be like a throwaway kind of put your neck on the line, put it all out there in case this is the last chance you get to show your 1500 metre training.
Yeah, did have a question mark at the end of it, didn't it? Look, it's both exciting and it's going to be fascinating to see what happens.
We're worse than like a teenager analysing text from another teenager, aren't we? There's a question mark.
Yeah.
What colour pen did she use? Our son L. Hughes, just in case.
Yeah. So let's stick with the women's 15 for now then, so it makes complete sense. So Georgia Hunter-Bell finished third in that race behind Gulaf Tsegay, who won that race. Beatrice Chebet as well, second. We spoke about how this isn't an event that she'd been involved in. Second in 3:53.73, which is I think she only raced, how many years ago was it? She did it at Kenyan trials or something, didn't she? I think it was in the 4 minutes though, wasn't it? I think previously. So let's talk about Tsegay because she did blow up a bit at the end. Watching the end was painful to watch.
It really was.
You see just how hard it really was. She looked in so much pain and discomfort. But at the same time, I know there's a narrative around her pacing and not getting it right, and it's still great fun to watch because you just don't know what you're going to get. Like, it's all very well. I kind of get the narrative about it, but it is getting a little bit maybe over repetitive in terms of doubting what she can do. Because although she did blow up here, it's still incredibly fast, and the pacing when she did London was also ridiculous. But it was still very, very good. Again, it's at the mile, wasn't it? And so, yeah, it's not ideal. You can rein it in, but the performance she's still delivering altogether is still very impressive. It
is, and you've totally soul destroyed everyone else. I mean, you don't have to think about anyone else. You got so far ahead. You can sort of measure that last 400 to be able to complete it, and I mean that shows some serious 5K strength. If you can run so quick, it was 2:02 through 800, but not even. I think the second lap was the one that was insanely fast, and the 1200 meter split was still so. As you say, the overall time was impressive. So there's so much strength there from Tsegay, and if she's not going to run it in a championship, she doesn't have to try and hone in any tactics. The only thing she had to get out of London and Silesia was a fast time. So she could just go and do that. And Chebet, similarly, I think it would just been a time trial for her to prepare for the 5K, 10K double.
Yeah, because no Tsegay in the 15 in Tokyo. But do you want to see more of? Are we going to see more of Chebet dropping down to 15s, or she's very, because she's pretty young. We always forget how young she is.
I think you could see a bit of a muck around, maybe an indoor champs. That she might just do something, but and she's got the ability to go and drop into a 10K on the road. They've got great ones in Spain and in other parts of Europe. You could drop into one of those New Year's ones and earn a lot of money. She could get a lot for just going to do a half somewhere. I don't think, it's a bit of fun, but I don't think it's worth really coming away from her specialist area for me, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll see. So let's switch to the men's 15 whilst we're on it, because Yared Nuguse is back. He won this race. He needs some good results because he needs to get to Zurich for the Diamond League final, and then obviously he needs to win that because that's the only way that he can get to Tokyo after missing out at the US trials. So how did this all play out? Well, Ollie Hall went out quite quick, didn't he, with the paces, and a little bit of different tactics from Yared Nuguse to what we've seen recently. Didn't get sucked into that. He just sat in the pack behind. He looked quite a way off, but obviously so much. They're always going to reel them back in. And he's been doing a lot of the work recently in these races, hasn't he? And it hasn't worked out for him at all. It felt like it's almost the same result kept on happening to Nuguse. So were you quite impressed with the way he switched up the tactics this time? Yeah,
and I think if you're emotionally frustrated by, it was Pre that he led and then got pipped on the line by Laros, and then the trials as well. It started and I was like, it's as if Nuguse has said, I've done my leading for the season, I'm not doing anymore. Like I have, like that tank is empty. And I think he would have been emotionally drained from the experience at the US Championships, and And maybe I hope that was a less stressful situation for him, just going in and running in the pack. And I also wonder if he's done the maths and he's trying to finish in the top 3 in Silesia in Brussels to get to Zurich. And just doing that and then saving something for Zurich as well. And of course, he's going to go for the win if it's there on a plate, but he can't risk doing what Ollie Hoare did and then fading to 6th or 7th. He can't risk that right now. And a fast time isn't going to help him with anything. It's the positioning he needs.
And is that his strength, do you think? What is Yared Nuguse's strength? Because he's known for having a really good kick. And I think maybe this just felt a lot more like, it just felt more comfortable. It felt, I never was worried about Nuguse in that race. I kind of felt like that's what he needs, that kind of race.
And I think the front running is great. We saw it on the indoor season at places like Millrose or at Boston University. You've done that over the last couple of years. But to bring that front running aggression to bigger events. And I don't think was he doing that at Grand Slam as well? He wasn't really leading so aggressively in Grand Slam. He was doing something different. So there you go. He was hanging in the pack in Grand Slam and it wasn't working, was it? He wasn't kicking through for the win. And maybe that's why those tactics changed. But it's finding that middle ground, or if there's a pacemaker that if he knows it needs to be under 3:34 for him to be able to kick better than some of the other amazing kickers we've got in that event. But if you're in a pace-made race, you can have that little bit more confidence. It's quick enough. Whereas, USA's, he just felt he couldn't let it go into that slower zone. It'd be interesting to see what he does in Brussels.
Yeah, if he manages to come through and do this in Zurich, then that's going to be
hero.
So impressive. So he won ahead of Timothy Cheruiyot and Noah Lyles as well. We talk about Nuguse, we talk about Josh Kerr, Cole Hocker, Niels Laros. No one's really talking about Cheruiyot. No, he's the former world champion. He doesn't seem to come into the conversation. He really does fly under the radar, doesn't he?
He does, and I think it's because his racing's super erratic. Didn't he break the Olympic record in the semi-finals in Tokyo, and then didn't? He was sort of the original front runner that then got overtaken in the men's race, and then ironically, Ingebrigtsen has sort of taken on that mantle when that was how he beat Cheruiyot. And so I think there was an inconsistency from Timothy Cheruiyot, that stopped people buying into him. But he's moved coaches. He's with Thomas Lewandowski and Niels Laros's group, and that group that's doing fantastic things. And I saw a lot more consistency from him at the start of this season. And then I'm not sure what's happened. I still think his average performance is higher than it's been in other years. So I think that was an interesting spot of you, Rich. I saw you note that down. And I think you're right. Cheruiyot could be one of those ones that just quietly going about it and could get it right on the day. And Silesia was impressive to pick up second in that field.
Especially because we're getting to a point, I think it's really interesting. Obviously, in the US trials, everyone has to put it all on the line and you need to try and get through to your top 3 and you're in. We haven't really seen a lot of Josh Kerr in his favoured event, so we don't really know. I mean, he's got a plan and we just need to see it, but we don't know. So it's kind of like, it's just, you'd believe in him, but we don't know what situation. We have no idea what Jakob Ingebrigtsen's doing.
No.
Should we just touch on Ingebrigtsen? Right
so
now. But basically, it just means that we're not seeing everyone's cards at the moment, so we don't really know how good everyone is. But Cheruiyot definitely should be in a conversation. But
and my quick comment, which does include Ingebrigtsen, so he said he's not going to do Silesia or Brussels, but when we look at Zurich, do the likes of Josh Kerr, etc., go to Zurich to try and keep Nuguse out? I don't think so. I don't think they deviate from their plan. But there's a school of thought to say, oh, let's just it still would. Any one of these men would love to win the Diamond League final, and it might come with that happy coincidence of not adding another Olympic medalist to the event.
That'd be really interesting.
I think that's too much of a kind of reaction to other people's seasons. You'd want to keep your head to your plan, but I don't know. But go on, carry on about Ingebrigtsen.
Well, I mean, so he's got his own YouTube channel, hasn't he? He basically essentially interviews himself in a way, because it's all managed by himself in a journalistic way. Katie would agree with me, the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's basically it's a bit of little trade inside secrets here. Broadcasters now tend to especially in news situations, they reject using any content that's been not like it's not had any kind of interrogation from a journalist.
Yeah.
So like we went through. I don't want to get too political about it, but just I saw show how the sausage is made. Maybe like during the Conservative government under Boris Johnson here, there was a phase there where they just kept on putting out where there's a big story would happen, and Number 10 would basically record an interview with Boris Johnson, then they put it out to the media, and essentially the media just went, do you know what, we're not using it. And they all went, we're not using it. BBC won't use it, Sky won't use it, ITN won't use it. So it stopped because it's no journalistic integrity to that at all. So if you ever see that stuff, you always know there's someone questioning. So with Ingebrigtsen kind of doing his own kind of thing, which not letting the journalists in, so we don't know what is going on with him because he's sort of controlling the narrative.
Yeah,
but we don't know what there is no narrative. The stories, I don't know what a story is. So he's basically
just throwing in red herrings, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, he said about, so he's talking about, obviously he's got this Achilles issue. We thought he's going to be coming back this week. He's not. Again, similar conversation we had with Keely Hodgkinson. Don't know what sort of shape he's in. Don't know how much he's racing. He said, it's just being cheeky here when he was talking about he'd have to change things. So because of the way things are going, he's going to have to change things. That's the bit that I'm going to ask you about in a minute about what he needs to change, because then he starts throwing in, I could do the steeplechase. Remember, I was a steeplechaser once, which he literally can't do anyway because he's got a week to do. Okay.
Well, that's steeplechase. He won like European Junior steeplechase off. It was his second ever steeplechase.
Would you be shocked if he did? If he ended up? Oh. No, if he just rocked up at some event for a time qualifier, because he doesn't have a time qualifier.
Yeah.
So he needs to run one this week.
Yeah. Do you think he could be talking about 10K?
Well, this is what I mean. So what do you think the change is? Like where the change that he's talking about, I need to change things. What does he mean?
If he means something, I mean, a minor, if he means anything, or he's not just trying to wind everyone up. I think it's everything from I'm not going to front run. You're going to see different tactics than what you expect, but we might have expected that anyway because it hasn't worked for the last 3 global championships over 15. No. We said this last week. We said if he's not racing this week, that means he's not confident in putting that intensity through his Achilles. That's what it means to me. Either he's not been able to do it in training yet, or he's concerned about the spiking up and going flat out in a race. Now, if that narrative is true, then it'd be safer to stick to the 5K. Because you could, because when you can train for both events, but we've seen George Mills only go for the 5,000, and there's a reason behind that, because you can allocate more time to the sessions that are going to help you for 5K, and for Ingebrigtsen, you'd think those types of sessions would be kinder on the Achilles, and then I think it'd be a bit bold to do the 10K 5K double, because then he'd put 10K in his legs on spikes on a track before the 5K. So I think the change in tact could be just 5. That would be my strongest bet. But the way he was talking makes me wonder whether there's a 10K. Has he got a road time that would qualify him for?
I was just looking.
What about his 10K split? His 10K split from the Copenhagen half marathon would do it, wouldn't it? And then he had to stop for a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. After that, it didn't have as great a time. I was looking at the road to Tokyo, and there's nothing there that gets him in a 10. So I think, as far as I can see, there's not something road like being European cross country champion gets you in, is there? I don't think there is. There should be. Yeah, rather than trying to make a controversial statement that isn't completely right. This is something we're just talking off the top of our heads. I'm not going to make any calls.
There is no insight.
But you're right. Maybe I think you've convinced me. I think that is the case. It'd be maybe just the 5. We'll see. It's all going to come out in the wash in the next few weeks. It's just so interesting to see what could happen over the next few weeks, and so many of these events. Okay, let's move on. As usual, we're not going to talk about everything that happened in Silesia. But before we drop down distance, we talk about Faith Kipyegon. So she just missed out on that 3K world record. It's the world record set in 1993, which it's been questioned for years. You can look that all up and make your own calls about that. But it is one of those ones where I think sort of the world is backing Faith Kipyegon to get this world record and put that to bed. So now second all time officially. Finished quick, but not quite fast enough.
It was good. I'm not convinced there was anything else in the tank. I think
me
you
too.
can split hairs about a little bit of pacing, but it was great. It was a great job from the pacemakers, including Jess Hull, to have the world record holder for 2K pace you for a 3K world record. There were a few laps where she dipped kind of to 65s when she needed 64s. But you think you can make it up in the last lap if you have it, and she didn't. And I was surprised because I was pretty confident last week that she would be able to do it. And but it's you can crunch numbers, but at the end of the day, you've got to go and do it. And to see her form falter in the last 60 as well, you're just not used to seeing that. I know we saw it in breaking 4 as well, but normally she's so far ahead, she just looks superhuman. But fair play, she had a go. It's a good stimulus before championships. But I thought she'd get it, and she didn't.
Yeah, she got so much racing in her legs though, and that's such an effort. It's we can't expect miracles from her all the time, despite her being the GOAT over these kind of distances.
This episode of Podium is brought to you by Tracksmith, the New England running brand that lives and breathes athletics. Whether it's track and field, road running, cross country or road racing, Tracksmith supports runners at every level. From club events to aspiring pros through the amateur support programme, helping athletes reach their elite dreams or run their personal bests. We think you'll love Tracksmith's clothing and footwear range. It looks great, it's built beautifully, and it helps you perform to your best too. Listeners to this podcast can get 20% off their first Tracksmith purchase with the code PODIUM20, all in caps, all one word. That's Podium20 at checkout. The info's also in the show notes, so go check it out.
Let's drop down to the sprints. The men's 100 first of all. Kishane Thompson winning again. At the moment, I can't see anyone beating him in Tokyo personally. Noah Lyles, though, has this habit of just easing through, doesn't he? Peaking just at the right moment and getting better again. 990, was it a season's best for him? Finishing ahead of Kenny Benderek. But the finish from Lyles is really good. We're going down old paths by talking about the same thing over and over again. But the start in his 100, it's just at the moment again. It's gone away from him, hasn't it? I'd still put him down as a favourite for 200, but in the 100, it's just, he needs to sort of work. There's quite a bit of work to do, isn't there? I think he was talking about afterwards, Lyles, that it was a good thing to lose or something.
It's like after London, and he's like, I had the best warm up I've ever,
Basically, that's saying that kind of thing. Yeah, basically, he's all about this is all right. It's just only going to give me a bit of a kick up the backside, and it's only going to help me get better, and doesn't matter right now, and all that kind of stuff. All those kind of paraphrasing.
Do you think if he does sort that start out, he is the favourite? Do you think that's the difference between him and Thompson
in 100?
Yeah.
But obviously the start is.
But do you think that's enough? Do you think if he can, if he can at least become, because he's below average,
Thompson's too good at the moment. He's Thompson's just too good, and he's keeping quiet. Thompson, we're not really hearing a lot from him. We're getting all the chat of Lyles and Benderek, which has been great to watch. Thompson just going about his business. He's really not stopping to speak to many reporters, as far as I'm aware. I can't really find many quotes from him over the last few months. He's just literally, I don't know whether he's going straight through a mix zone or not. We'll be trying to get him next week.
You can try and get him in Zurich, can't you?
See if he'll give us 10 seconds. It's a good matchup. It's a good rivalry. Their styles are very different. It feels like you when you see them at the end, not so much when they're lining up at the start, but when they're all sort of, slapping each other's back and saying, well done, mate, and all that kind of stuff. Thompson just looks so much bigger than everyone else. Doesn't he? He looks huge. He's an intimidating man. He's all power.
I think Noah Lyles has got a lot of people to worry about if he wants to get to keep that gold medal from Budapest, and he will face more of them in Lausanne kind of in one race than he has faced so far. He's kind of faced one big person at a time, but he was soundly beaten by Oblique Seville in London, but that was Noah Lyles' first 100. So I think so. If Lyles was 990 on Saturday, I think he could. Every chance to think he can be 985 on Wednesday. Absolutely, why not? And then, so if anyone makes a mistake on their start, then I think he's right there making no changes. He spent a whole indoor season last year working on his start, and it helped. And yeah, I think that is a big part of why he won in Paris. But with the injury issues, I feel like he's not been able to do the same work on his start. It doesn't look as good as it did last year. But who knows if there's something, because it's kind of neuromuscular. It's a skill-based thing rather than necessarily a training thing. So maybe he has got time just to drill that a bit better. So you don't think even if Noah Lyles nailed his start, you still don't think that's enough to beat Thompson?
At the moment, I can't see it.
Okay.
I do like Lucas Seville as well.
Yeah.
I think over the 200, you're
right.
Lyles is the favourite. I mean, from a British point of view as well, you look at it and go, that's where you'd imagine Zarnell Hughes has the best chance of winning.
Well, and you talk about starts, like Zarnell Hughes, if we can see a better start from him as well. Yeah, he's building momentum through the season, and that start is getting better with every race.
But credit to Lyles, the way he came back in that race was very impressive, wasn't it?
It's like belief the whole way through, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's no point where he goes, oh no, like I'm 70 metres in, I'm still behind. He just goes. And that's a bit real strength of his, is that mental strength to keep pushing the whole way.
And just whilst we're on this, the 100 metres, Marcel Jacobs can't cut a break, it seems, all the time. And another minor muscle injury, was meant to be at the next two, I think, in Lausanne and in Brussels. Not going to be at either. And I think he's having some treatments, some scans, it sounds like. And I think it looks like he's a major doubt now for Tokyo. And it always feels like this all does follow him around, doesn't it? These niggles that just he can't stay fit for long enough, Jacobs, to build that momentum, which is a real shame. In the women's 100, quick mention for Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, because yet another win. Unbeaten streak continues, not lost over 100 meters this season.
Well, and the times as well. She's running she's winning by so much. She's not just winning, she's destroying everyone, like Keely did. If you look at that 800 meter run. And when we talk about injury issues, Julian Alfred was announced, I think, for Silesia and Lausanne, and she's pulled out of those. The first thing I read said there wasn't an explanation, and then when I Googled it again last night, it wasn't. Articles were saying injury.
Okay.
I haven't heard anyone from her camp or herself confirm.
Is that an assumption? Yeah. Do you think it's an assumption?
I think it's an assumption, yeah. So, yes, who knows? Alfred could have gone, I've done enough to gather the information I need to go away and do my last bits of training. I don't need to race again. But yeah, if I was Jefferson-Wooden, I'd be saying, well, happy days. I've done all the work I need to do. I can just keep showing you. I can keep showing you like every 5 days that I'm a 10.6 runner. So I think Julian Alfred not being here for this fortnight makes me even more confident in Melissa Jefferson-Wooden.
Yeah, same for me. And in the 200, bit more like it for Shericka Jackson.
Yes, yeah. I think she still doesn't look in full flight to me. She still looks kind of a bit restricted, and I don't know if she's going flat out or whether she's just doing. Yeah, I feel like she's almost protecting herself and not going to that final stride. And I think it was enough to win just over Brittany Brown in Silesia, but Brittany Brown needs the wild card in Zurich if she's going to go. So I think, that she is going to be fighting to try and get there. Jackson, I think she'll probably be glad she isn't going up against Gabby Thomas in Lausanne. I think, there was all sorts of talk about whether Gabby Thomas was going to be there, but she's not.
It was announced by Lausanne. But
yeah, she was. So we've got Jackson in that 200 again in Lausanne, right? I think the fact that she's racing twice a week is she raced in Budapest, didn't she, last week? And then she's racing in Silesia, and then she's racing again in Lausanne. Tells me she's healthy. I think she looks good, but nowhere near as good as Melissa Jefferson-Wooden. And I don't think she would beat her over 200 right now.
From a British point of view, still Amy Hunt looking good, right? Just showing so much consistency. I mean, you can make a good argument that maybe one of the most improved consistent young sprinters out there this season, just because it's not just when she's getting her PBs, which she didn't do this, she didn't get that in Silesia, but her time's just consistently better as well. From a British point of view, do you think she gets a world final at least? Do you think she can make a final?
So yeah, I think so. And she's mixing it up. I mean, I think Silesia was probably one of her lowest Diamond League finishes in a 200, but she was still fifth or so. It wasn't, it's still firmly in that top 8. And the other interesting thing from a British sprinting perspective was Dina Asher-Smith. I think if you really look at it, there's a trend from Asher Smith this season that her 100's she's just not quite clicking over 100. And her 200, again, that average performance, the average caliber of performance in the 200 for Asher Smith is just stronger. And she goes in the 200 in Lausanne, right? And then, I think she can double. I think she can handle doubling. But I think she's looking more and more like she's more competent in that 200. And I think we could back her to get in the final as well.
Mm-hmm. Quick touch on the hurdles. So, and in particular, Nasai Russell, because that was 12:19, joint third fastest of all time, but not her PB.
Yeah, that was insane. Because it was those.
And I also read that she had really bad travel issues to get in there too.
Oh, did she?
She all off the back of like massive disruption to getting there, which makes it even more impressive that she managed to do that. So she had real issues getting to Silesia. She said, my travel was so messed up. Didn't want to race. Came 2 days ago. Lots of obstacles. Stay positive, and this is what happened.
Yeah, and I think we are still looking for an out and out consistent performer in that women's hurdles, and she is doing that now. The time in Miramar for the Grand Slam Track Miami was fantastic. That's where the 12:17 came, I think, and to back that up. Because, you need to do that in more than one environment, in more than one track, and she did it. And it was great to see also Grant Holloway was second in the men's hurdles in a pre-programme, a non-Diamond League. He still lost to Cordell Tinch, but he was second. That's the best we've seen him since indoors. So that was pretty exciting. Yeah, the Americans and the high hurdles, they're just perfect. They just get it all.
They're getting to a point now as well where they're coming to the end of this sort of European stretch, and then they'll head home. Some of them, I think Masai Russell says she's definitely going to go back to some training in the US, and then. So do you think?
I wonder if they'll skip Zurich. That's what I'm still waiting to see, just to give themselves enough time to get over that travel.
As great as it could be in Zurich, there will be so many who will turn down.
But that's a geography thing. Like, I think if the world champs were in Europe, as we look over the next few seasons and what this means. I mean, we've got worlds in Beijing in 2027, so I think we'd have the same scenario that people are playing the travel game. But I think that could cost the final a little bit. It
does. I mean, that's the problem with this late season World Championships. It does make the Diamond League final a little bit less significant. Others will skip it because of it, like you say, because of the geography, just because it doesn't fit into the training plan as well. Like, it's really nice, isn't it, watching the Diamond League final, and it's like the final hit out. It's all give it everything. But we're not going to get that this time. You definitely don't want to do anything to yourself that's going to damage your chances of success in Tokyo when you've got to go through the rounds as well. So it'd be interesting to see.
If I was sitting there as an athlete in medal hope, I'd be smug. I'd be smug if I wasn't going. I'd be thinking, I did a session this morning. I've got my feet up. I'm recovering. I'm doing another one tomorrow. You've not got these missed days in your preparation where you're doing nothing. So I know, but it was a good day, good afternoon on Saturday for Olympic champions. When you look at the high jump with Hamish Kerr and Yaroslava Mahuchik, kind of reasserting their authority. Hamish Kerr, he hadn't looked that good this season, and then suddenly 2:33, season's best. It all seemed to click in Silesia for Kerr. Our guest last week on the podcast, we did a lovely interview with him that I'd encourage people to go and listen to. But yeah, I was already a fan of Hamish Kerr before the interview, and then he's really won me over. So I got really into it on Saturday. I was like, go on. I thought that was quite significant. And Mahuchik had lost to Olis Laggers twice in a row. And Olis Laggers went home to Australia to train, also another guest we had on the podcast. And then, Mahuchik just found that little bit extra. So I think those guys are going to match up a few times over the next few weeks. But that high jump is just, those Olympic champions are trying to assert themselves on it. And I think we'll know in the next kind of week whether they're managing that.
Yeah, Mahuchik's definitely looking like she's getting a bit more back to form. She's been a bit off it over the last few months. I think that was only her second 2-meter jump since.
Pathetic.
I know, yeah. Come on. But we know what she was doing around, pre-Olympics last year, obviously with a huge world record. I want to mention Julius Jaego as well, because whilst we're still talking about guests who've been on the podcast.
Oh, yes, of course.
So Julius Jaego, who is, I think he's 36 now. He is having a brilliant late season sort of boost over the since the Olympics last year, really. 83.60 to win the javelin ahead of Kishane Walcott, another veteran. So those two at the top of the standings. It's great to see Yago do that. I mean, we're not looking at something which is an insane throw, but we haven't seen competitions which have always been set alight, and who knows what the conditions are going to be in Tokyo. And I think Yago knows how to play the competition, and if he can get on the podium, that would be quite a story, I think.
Well, him or Kishane Walcott.
Yeah, exactly.
What a throwback to have those two on a Diamond League podium together.
I think Yago's been pretty consistent this year in terms of getting in the mid 80s, the mid to high 80s. No 90 plus throws, but that's not necessarily what's going to win the World Championship final. We just don't know you just never know what's going to happen on the day, and the consistency that Yago's showing. If you want to listen back to him, I spoke to him at the Niraj Chopra Classic. Was it last month?
Who knows?
Early last month? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? God, it feels like ages ago. That's one of our bonus episodes as well. So it's worth listening to him because you can sort of hear his joy of just competing, continuing to compete. Right, let's wrap up Silesia. There's a couple of bits we want to get to before we finish as well. We have to talk quickly about Carsten Warholm because he first race in 2 months, which he says is intentional. He's had a big block of training, third fastest all time, 46.28. I love watching him because I feel like he's got this action that feels like he's on fast forward. When you look at everyone else, just the rate he's turning over the legs. It feels like it feels like I'm watching it at a different speed to everyone else, like a voice note. I'm just playing at 1.5 speed. Everyone else is at normal speed.
It's when for really great hurdlers, it's when they seem to gain momentum over the hurdle instead of lose it. And I think Femke Bol was similar down the home straight in Silesia as well. Everyone else, especially in the 400 hurdles, they take off and then gravity gets involved and you slow down. Whereas, you're right, Warholm is just the power he brings that lead leg down at. He just seems to gain momentum when he does that. And it was the fastest anyone's done since that Tokyo final when he did the world record. And he's not in Lausanne. I think like you say, it's deliberate shift towards doing a bit more training. And there's been a lot of focus on Rai Benjamin, who beat him in Stockholm and then ran very fast at the US trials. So I think that was like Warholm's answer really on Saturday to say, nope, I'm in low 46 shape. And that's it. So Rai Benjamin hasn't gone quicker than that since Tokyo as well. So I think that puts the Norwegian as the favourite for me in the men's 4 hurdles.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so exciting. Watching him is great.
It is,
and of course, Femke Bol winning again in a women's event. Just no competition for her at all at the moment. It's a shame. It's nice to see Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone go up in the 400, but they're not having that matchup. She's so high above everyone else in the 400 hurdles, and Femke Bol is so far ahead of everyone else after that. But it's kind of like I don't know. You'd love to see a closer matchup somewhere along the line there. But
it's all right because Femke will do loads of relays to neutralise it.
We'll still get we'll still get the
relays. We'll still get the
rounds. We'll still get the 4x4 with those two.
Yes. But I was thinking if Femke Bol does 2 rounds of the mixed 4x4 before the 4 hurdles, then it might not be as she might not run away with it as much.
We have to mention Mondo Duplantis because a 13th world record, surely all shaping up for the 6:30 coming up, maybe in Tokyo, but it's just you run out of things to say. I'm going to have to think of some more things to say because I am on commentary for that one.
You have to come up with a whole 2-hour show on Mondo Duplantis. Yeah. Did you see that his sister vaulted in Budapest?
Did she?
Yeah, she was in the women's competition. She's in the NCA system.
Okay.
This first, I don't know. And then she came over and watched him. I don't know if they split the parents whilst they were both jumping. Who knows? I think, Mondo was just perfection in Budapest. He set a world record when he won there, I think, for the world title as well. But then in Silesia, like Karalis was closer again. And I think I've said this all season long. If Karalis can make Duplantis have to jump more between 6 meters and 6:15, then we don't know what happens. We don't know the result of that. We know what happens when Duplantis wins the whole thing on 6:05 and then can relax. But when he's got to save energy for that 6:15 bracket, I think, I don't know. It didn't happen. Karalis didn't beat him. The same result happened as it always does. But I'm loving watching that chess match there and seeing what's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. It's great seeing Corrales just consistently 6 meters.
Yeah.
It's great to watch. Okay, quick Brit Watch update ahead of the World Championships. There have been some significant results. The most recent one, Jeremiah Azu, 9.97 in Stratford, which is in East London, if you're not from the UK.
It's the Olympic Stadium warm-up track.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So to book his place, so he already had second spot from the British champs. He needed to go sub 10, and it would have been such a shame from our point of view. I think definitely Hannah, but I think from a lot of fans of British athletics, if the world and European indoor champion was not going to be in Tokyo, he's got the job done. And again, former guest, you want to have a listen back, because it's really amazing listening to him, wasn't it, at the time, like talking about the feelings of running that fast for the first time. And 9.97 is equaling his PB, isn't it, I think. So anyway, Azu will be on the plane, so congratulations to him. Ben Patterson got the 800 meter time that he needed in Budapest. He has great memories of that track, of course, winning bronze at the last World Championships. And it looks like he's going to be going. So he'll get the discretionary pace, won't he, Hannah?
Who knows? There's a lot of guys with that 800 meter time.
But because of the bronze, surely. It's exactly the same situation for someone like Georgia Hunter-Bell in the 15.
It is, you're right, but that she's shown consistent. Don't get me wrong. I think, I agree with you, but it's not. I would still wait until that selection meeting. I think he's done his case a whole load of good. I think there would be merit in saying we need to see that happen again. Just one standout performance among some other mediocre ones, because he's been coming back from injury and he had stomach illness at the British Champs. He got soundly beaten by everyone. I know he had a reason, but I think the selectors would probably want to see another sub 145. I don't think it has to be another selection time, but another consistent performance. To guarantee
a good race performance.
Oh, because that's the thing. He did run well in Budapest. He ran very fast and very well, but he was 7th or 8th or so. It wasn't and. So there's a lot of other guys in Britain that could argue if I'd been that race, I would have done better. But just fantastic to see him have worked through all those injuries and then catch a bit of luck. I think, he's got his own podcast, You've Got to Go. And the way they talk about it's just hilarious how open they are about everything, and how blunt about their own careers. It's all athletes on it. I was delighted to see him do that. And in the same meeting, a really good showing for the female 1500 metre runners. Reve Walcott-Nolan, under 4 minutes for the first time this season. Erin Wallace got the qualifying time for the 1500 as well. She was 4:01. Those women putting themselves in really good contention for that women's 1500 metre team behind Laura Muir. But again, depends what Georgia Hunter-Bell does, because that's 3 women I've just mentioned there before you consider Hunter-Bell. So still a bit of have to wait and see what happens on that event as well.
Yeah, let's just wrap up some other news. Since our last episode, Fred Kerley provisionally suspended. It's all about whereabouts issues. He is appealing this. The statement from his legal team saying he'll contest it, strongly believes, he says, that one or more of his alleged mistests should be set aside, either because he was not negligent or because the doping control officer did not do what was reasonable under the circumstances to locate him at the designated location. Fred will not comment further at this time, out of respect for the process, but he wasn't at US Champs, and now we seem to have the reason for that. So that's that. We'll see how that all shapes up in the coming months. As he says, he's appealing, and so we need to wait and see what the final judgment is.
Am I allowed to comment on this?
You can comment as long as you're not going to get yourself into trouble.
I'm not getting myself into trouble. Like, I remember Coleman going through this, and his defence was sort of like, I was only in the mall around the corner. They should have phoned me and told me they were at my house. And like, from a British perspective, from like the UCAD anti-doping education we get, like, no, it's your responsibility to be where you said you were going to be for that hour. The responsibility, same as strict liability of what you put in your body. It is your responsibility to be there for an hour, not the doping controls officers. I don't know. We'll see. Okay,
yeah.
But I've seen some inconsistency internationally about whose responsibility it is to find you in that hour. But
it's been a year for Fred Kerley. And then, conscious of time here,
yes.
we talked a long time about Silesia, but for good reason. Ivana Spanovic saying it's her last long jump. She's going to focus on a triple jump. So,
did you see her crying in her car? Oh, what a woman! I think she needed a new challenge. I think with this triple jump, and she's reigning world champion. She's got a bye for the long jump, but she's saying no. If I'm truly going to explore the triple jump, who knows whether that's just this year. She said she was going to retire. If she'd won Tokyo, she would have retired. And then she held on for Paris and she didn't get on the podium there. And she's just finding things to keep her joy of the sport alive. And last long jump, that was emotional. I'm glad I didn't know before. It would have been, yeah.
And the Chicago Marathon elite fields have been announced. In the men's, John Correa will be back to defend his title. He won last year in 2:02.43, also won Boston earlier this year too. But I'm excited about Jacob Ingebrigtsen here. It's going to be his second marathon. So much hype around him before London. But this could be the one. It's a world record course, as we know. It's 2:03.43 on debut. Finished well too. With Sebastian Sawe going on to win in London, of course. But I was quite impressed with Ingebrigtsen and how he just sort of dug in London. We're going to do a full preview about Chicago, so we're going to talk a lot about this in the future. But so he will be on the start line. And also big chance in the women's event, I think, for Keely Hodgkinson to get on the podium, maybe, for a first time, because I think she has the 6th or 7th best PB if you look at the lineup. It's led by Megetu Olamu, who's the Valencia champion, former runner-up in London. So she's the best on paper, but I look at the rest of the field and I think on her day, she can beat a lot of those women. And she's going to be tuning up, hopefully, for her in the 10,000 meters in Tokyo ahead of going to Chicago. So I think she'll have about another 3 or 4 weeks, I think it is, between. But a big opportunity there for Keely to maybe get on that podium for the first time in a major marathon. We'll wait and see. Obviously, we've got Berlin coming up soon. We've got Sydney in a couple of weeks. We've got the World Championship marathons. It means that everything's a bit more spread out than it usually would be.
I think it's a great shout, Rich, for Keely Hodgkinson. I think, you've nailed it there. And we should watch what happens in Tokyo and hopefully get her sort of reflections on that and her talk into that build. But we said it a few weeks ago, this road season is coming. I know you are going to be so excited to get stuck into the marathon preview. So if marathon's your thing, we are absolutely going to be shifting our focus away from track and field and keeping a bit for European cross, because that's my passion. But, we've got such a big 4 weeks coming up into Tokyo. So you've got Lausanne and Brussels Diamond Leagues this week on Wednesday and Friday, Wednesday and Friday evening. It's hard. There's a lot of matchups that we've already seen in Silesia. So it's trying to extrapolate that out. What's going to be the same? What's going to be different? We're going to know a lot more in a week about sort of some of those matchups. But I guess the only kind of new thing there's going to be only a couple of new things we can look for really this week. I think that men's 800 in Lausanne, those guys haven't gone up against each other since London. So it's how have those guys fared over the last month? I think that's one big thing we might be looking at.
Yeah, the latest of Marco are open against Emmanuel Wenyonyi, Josh Hoey's there, Bryce Hoppel, Max Bergin, Hamid Tawi. It's just shall we say? We should say, shouldn't we? This week we'll have an interview with Marco.
There we go. We've decided. That's decision made, isn't it? No more debating it. Marco up out this week.
Yeah, we've recorded that interview, and it's a brilliant listen, because he is just a very humble, softly spoken, incredible. I don't know. I think we all came away from it going, "What? This guy must be the nicest man in athletics."
Yeah,
and
I want him to be my new best friend.
Yeah, exactly that. So, but look, that's gonna be great to watch. What else do you want to just quickly pick out for the next few days? I mean, like you say, we've spoken a lot about most of this.
It's most of the same contenders, really. I think we've got another super loaded men's Diamond League 5K on Wednesday, sort of the umpteenth of the season. I'm not really sure what we're going to see that we've not seen before. You've got Grant Fisher there, so he might be trying to prove what he can do on fresh legs and a 5K versus getting beaten by Cole Hocker at the USA's after the 10K. So a slight interest in that, but I think, to be honest, we're going to see a 12:50 Yeah, they're going to go out they might go out faster. We'll wait and see. There's been no world record talk yet. But yeah, lots of high quality athletics. It's not that I'm saying it's not good, but it's just, stuff we've already touched on. Apart from Winfried Jarvi going for a steeplechase world best over the mile in Brussels. And there was talk around about a year ago about, do we change the 3K steeplechase to a mile steeplechase? They always do this polling on what retains attention from spectators, and the steeplechase is entertaining, but it doesn't hold people for 3,000 meters. And I, for one, think the mile steeplechase is wild. Like, the speed you attack those barriers is totally different ball game. And so I don't know if this is the next stage in road testing the mile steeplechase, and they've got Jarvi on board and she's going to have a go. There's no world best as such to beat. Like, she is. We've had some trial events, but she's going to run faster than any of those.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. Is that what you'd like to see then? You would like? Maybe we should have a conversation about this on a quieter week.
Yeah, I'm a purist. I think the 3,000 steeplechase is a lovely event, but physiologically, you need the same kind of skills in your physiology to do a 1,500 as you do for 3,000 steeplechase. You've got to have the explosivity and the elastic strength. And you kind of think, could those guys be really explosive over 1,500 steeplechase or mile steeplechase rather than pulling them out to 3,000? It totally changes. Yeah, it totally changes the event. It makes it more accessible for younger athletes that are trying to get involved. If you're asking a 19-year-old to be competent over 3,000 meters and barriers, for many people that's too hard. It takes them a while to find their feet, whereas you make it a mile. But blimey, can you imagine Germa versus El Bakkali on a mile? It's crazy. I don't think you lose any of the entertainment by making it to a mile, and you could gain a lot. Do you agree, or do you think it's a cop out?
No, I do. I'd love to see it. But maybe like you say, maybe it's step one.
Yes.
On this journey to potentially changing things up, and the sport needs to keep on evolving in lots of different ways, and maybe that's one way. Okay, I think that's enough for today. But just want to say a welcome along to Tracksmith, who are now on board with us for this podcast. So we are so happy to have them here. So lots of great offers for you coming your way as well. So listen out to the ads, and you can find out how that can benefit you. And I think over the next week or so, maybe next week, or next few weeks, we need to tell everyone what we're going to be doing in Tokyo. But we are finalising our plans for comprehensive coverage, because we will, all three of us, be out in Tokyo, and there will be plenty of pods, daily pods, dropping your way as try and give you some instant hits on what's what we believe are the best things to come out of those days. But more detail on that coming up in the next few weeks. Hannah, you're not going to be here next week. And it's going to be well worth a listen, though, because we've got some really, really exciting plans lined up for.
I'm never coming back. You've replaced me. That's all I can say. It's star-studded people standing in next week. Yeah,
it's going to be a good one. So make sure you're with us next week for our next roundup. So we round up a couple more Diamond Leagues and look ahead to the Diamond League final in Zurich, as well as the Sydney Marathon. Our interview with Marco Arop is coming up this Thursday, and if you missed any of the other interviews, please do go back and listen back to them, because we try and give them as long a shelf life as possible, so they're all pretty relevant now to go back. So that's it for today. Give us a follow, a 5-star rating if you fancy it on Apple Podcasts, because it always gives us a little bit of a boost. And you can follow us on social media, Podium Athletics Podcast on Insta and on TikTok, which we're starting to put a little bit more effort into. We're getting with the times. Casey's dragging us along as we're trying to figure it out. But that's it from today. Thank you for your company, and we'll speak soon. We're proud at Podium to be sponsored by Maurten, which has completely revolutionized sports fueling. If you're not familiar, Maurten uses hydrogel technology to deliver more carbohydrates to get the most out of performance without the stomach issues. And those 2 points are so important, especially when you're running long distance events. Personally, I've struggled with gels and drinks in the past, but Maurten really is game changing. The gels do take some getting used to, a bit thicker, not like a liquid, but once you do, you'll see the benefits. It works by effectively bypassing the stomach using natural ingredients, and you can trust it. All products are Informed Sports certified. So with the road season here again, I'll be using it all throughout autumn and winter, whether that's training or races. And if you're in the same boat, it's a great time for you to find out more. Listeners to the podcast can get 15% off using the code PODIUM15, all one word, at morton.com. It's a one-off code, and the details are also in the show notes.